Hey everyone, Round the Nation, TYT Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf here with you. We got a good Tuesday show for you guys today. Oh man. Actually, we've got a lot of disaster to talk about. That includes some breaking news about the Iran deal. Oh boy. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, that's a fairly big deal. And I guess I would appreciate some of your questions on that as well. If you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me, and I think I'll try to address them in my segment. Then we've got a couple of fun stuff, a couple of fun stories. We have Melania Trump and her brand new, or is it brand new? Her initiative in the White House. Interesting. Then we're going to talk about Attorney General Eric Schneiderman of New York. Big stuff about that. Big news on that. And we've got a lot of details on those allegations. Then Sam Nunberg, of course, goes on MSNBC and says some very interesting things about Michael Cohen. And then finally, we got Donald Trump coming after children's health insurance. Awesome. So that's what we've got on the show today, guys. If you haven't already, please give us a share. Helps the show get out. Oh, hey, and Super Chat. In fact, I just got a Super Chat from Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate that, and good day to you as well. That is a way to, of course, help the show and also send whatever message you'd like to send. So thank you for that, Carlos. I appreciate it. All right. So look, today's been crazy. A lot of different things going on today. And it's kind of hard to keep track of a lot of things. We're going to do what we can here on the show. So if there is anything that you'd like me to address, you could always send it in a super chat, and I can get to it like around a break or something, a story that you think is really important. That's like the best way to get me in the chat because it scrolls so fast. But if I do catch you, putting something in there that you'd like me to talk about, then I can definitely do that. I can do that. Hey, whoa, wait a minute. I am seeing captions on my video. Oh, that's kind of cool. Huh. Who did the captions? That's awesome. Anyway, I know I'm amused at the fact that there are now captions on my video. I can read what I said. A lot of ums in there. Got to work on that. Anyway, it's a weird way to start the show, but then again, look at who you're dealing with. Anyway, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll start out with the breaking news, and then we'll go to a couple of fun things. Then we'll hit the Eric Schneiderman story. So let's dive in. Oof. So it has finally happened. President Trump has finally kept a campaign promise. He has pulled out of the Iran deal. Now, that's a disastrous campaign promise, much like the wall, but I think it's actually going to have a bigger impact when it comes to American foreign policy. So let's go to the announcement here. Speaking earlier today, Trump had confirmed some of the earlier rumors that he was going to pull out of the Iran deal and, of course, reinstate a lot of the sanctions that it waived as part of this deal. Now, he also mentioned that there's going to be even more economic penalties put onto Iran. Great. So now we're putting even more economic pressure on Iran after pulling out of the deal. Wonderful. Now, a person familiar with the negotiations said that talks collapsed over Mr. Trump's insistence that sharp limits be kept on Iran's nuclear fuel production after 2030. And, of course, the deal that we just pulled out didn't have any of those reductions or stipulations on fuel production. So, oh boy. So here we go. Donald Trump has just undone one of the biggest achievements of the Obama administration. And look, I think that's what the whole point was. Let's be honest. There was nothing in the Iran deal that he could really name that was terrible. At least anything that was factual. Now, I mentioned yesterday, of course, the thing that they always go to is, oh my God, look at all the money that we gave Iran. That was their money. That was not our money. We essentially held it from them. Yeah, but that money will go to terror groups and all that, and our money does not. What do you think happens when we fund Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia had been spreading Wahhabism. That is the most fundamentalist strain of Islam for decades on our instruction. So we make deals with petrodollars, right? So, and that's what this is all about. That's why we're friends with Saudi Arabia. It's the petrodollar. It's the fact that we can get cheap oil from Saudi Arabia. And by the way, speaking of oil, now that we're pulling out of the Iran deal, expect gas prices to go up. Expect oil prices to go up. In fact, earlier today, when the rumor came out, and it turned out to not be true, but when they said, oh, don't worry, Donald Trump's going to stay in the Iran deal, oil prices plunged. And then when the White House said, actually, no, that New York Times report is not right, and we're going to make our announcement later, and we are expected to actually pull out of the Iran deal, according to the New York Times, guess what happened? Oil prices bounced right back. So now we're going to look at even more expensive oil. We're going to look at even more expensive gas. So congratulations, Donald Trump. You are responsible now for rising gas prices. MAGA. Fucking MAGA, man. That's what we're doing here. Nice job, Republicans. And look, the terrible implication here, the worst part is that this puts us on a more aggressive footing towards Iran, and that could, of course, lead us to a war. That is the thing that we most want to avoid, is another disastrous war in the Middle East. And here's Donald Trump flailing around and going, war in the Middle East. But you know why? Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, they love war. And they've been wanting a war with Iran for a very, very long time. All these Bush-era neocons want this war with Iran. So, oh, look at that. Now, we don't have a deal with Iran, and now they're going to develop, they'll probably go back to developing nuclear weapons. Look, that's not a certainty because, look, there are other nations. In fact, most of the other nations are still in the deal. So, okay, well, look, that might help in some way, maybe prevent them because they might look at the other nations and go, well, look, at least they're staying in. So this is unilateral, right? We unilaterally pulled out because Donald Trump's a fucking moron. So, but look, the other thing about this that possibly would make them more likely to nuclearize, just to contradict my previous statement here, is the United States has been known for invading countries. I mean, that's basically what we're known for. We find a country like Iraq and we're like, okay, yeehaw, we're going to unilaterally go into this country and we're going to fuck it up because of freedom. Well, that's what they've been wanting to do with Iran for quite a long time. If Iran doesn't want us invading, well, guess what? The one deterrent that they would have is nuclear weapons. That's why we haven't invaded North Korea. That and they don't have any strategic resources, really. So, Iran's got a lot of oil. And they don't quite have nuclear weapons, so, war with Iran. And that would be a good incentive for them to continue their nuclear program, despite the other countries, France and Britain and Russia and China, all staying into this deal. So now, look, talking about nuclear weapons, by the way, that does bring us to North Korea. So we're in the middle of, North Korea is in the middle of trying to negotiate with South Korea, and they're talking about denuclearization, right? So what this does, what pulling out of this deal does, is it hurts our credibility. These countries, North Korea and any other country, can no longer trust America on its word. When we say, no, we're going to honor this deal, we sat there and we did negotiations, and you held up your end of the bargain, and, we're holding up our end of the bargain. Well, when we no longer hold up that end, and we unilaterally pull out, what does that do to our credibility? What does that do for future negotiations? Well, America's not going to keep their word. They're just going to sit there and they're going to stab us in the back. They're going to pull out of the deal. So why even make a deal in the first place? No, the only way to stop America now is for us to get nuclear weapons. So he is inadvertently, I think, he's going to inadvertently create an arms race in the Middle East, and I think he's sabotaging the new North Korea talks as well. That's my speculation. I hope it's not true. Donald Trump talks about, oh, don't worry, we'll go and make another deal. But again, why would they trust us? They can go and negotiate with Donald Trump, but you know what? They probably won't, because we break our word. And besides, other articles have noted that there are hardliners in Iran that are like, see, we told you not to deal with the United States. We told you can't trust them, and we were right. So why make a deal with them? No, what we need to do is we need to continue to enrich our uranium. We need to go back and start building these weapon systems, these nuclear weapons, and the missiles that will deliver them. That's the only way that we can protect ourselves against the United States. Congratulations, Donald Trump. You have just fucked up so fucking hard. God damn it. He's a goddamn idiot. He's a man-child. All because he's jealous of fucking Barack Obama. And that's what it comes down to. He didn't like this deal because, again, Fox News fucking lied to him the whole time. And it's like, oh, no, we're giving them millions and millions of dollars, and we're letting them have nuclear weapons. Fuck you. You fucking liars. There is absolutely no truth to any of that. This deal was the way to stop them and prevent them from having nuclear weapons, and also would have helped open up the youth of Iran to the West, to Western ideas, and to gradually liberalize the country. Now you've completely messed that up. You have fucked that up 100%. And why? Why? Because Obama. Because this is Obama's deal. This man is so fucking petty. Jesus Christ, man. And he's putting us all in peril because he doesn't like something the black guy did. Fuck, man. Fuck this guy. I think I'm fairly clear on this. Okay. Jesus. Let's move on here. I'm getting it. Let's go move on to something fun, okay? Because I'm pissed. All right. So yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that President Trump's team is preparing him for a possible sit-down with Robert Mueller. Oh, well, this is going to be good. Robert Mueller is a special counsel looking into the Russia investigation, possible collusion, money laundering, which I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get him on money laundering or some sort of corruption. Now, part of this preparations for this sit-down is a mock interview. Okay, yeah, you sit down with somebody who pretends to be Mueller. I mean, they already have the questions. Those questions already leaked out, so they got the questions. So they can practice with those questions, right? Now, those mock interviews, however, and by the way, that's a great way to practice. If you already have the questions, You can sit down with somebody and you can practice your answer so that you make sure to come out of that interview looking really fantastic, looking really great, and not giving them any other information. Well, how is that going? Apparently, it's going really, really poorly. Now, according to the Journal, in an informal 4-hour practice session, Mr. Trump's lawyers were only able to walk him through a total of 2 questions. 4 hours, 2 questions. Oh my God. Now, it is unbelievable. Now, they note that it was difficult for a couple of reasons. One is actually a pretty legitimate reason. The frequent interruptions on national security matters. Okay, look, again, super understandable. You get interrupted. Hey, we have a development here in North Korea. We have a development here in when it comes to Iran. We have a development here in Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever. And all the myriad of places that we're having to be bombing right now. Okay, I understand that. You're a busy guy. Sure. That's part of it. The other part, according to a person familiar with the matter, was Mr. Trump's loquaciousness. Okay, so look, you might not be familiar with that word. It has a lot of synonyms. What it means basically is that Trump can't shut the fuck up. He talks too much, right? So he talks too much. And that wastes time, and it makes it unable for him to get through more than 2 questions in 4 hours. That is 2 hours a question. That is so fucking sad. Now, look, you could argue why they're even doing this in the first place. And couldn't they just say, thanks, but no thanks, Mueller? I'd rather do written questions. I mean, look, Republicans are like, oh, you know, don't even meet with Mueller. You don't have to meet with Mueller. Well, actually, you might actually have to meet with Mueller. Look, if Trump decides not to grant Mueller a voluntary interview, then it becomes involuntary. The special counsel could end up issuing him a subpoena to talk. Ooh, which would be bad, because that would end up in, of course, a rather lengthy legal fight. So they're prepping him just in case. But as I said before, Trump is incredibly difficult to work with because he's a moron. Okay, he doesn't read briefings. We know that. We've known that for a long time. He ignores his advisors unless they say things that he likes. Okay, fair enough. He has 0 attention span. Back in one of his first trips, I believe it was the Asia trip, it was revealed that they would try to get him to listen to briefings. First of all, it started out with a page, right? Page briefing, then it went to a half-page briefing full of killer maps and graphics, right? Because he loves maps and graphics. And it seems like he has no attention span. And then, for the Asia trip, they decided, you know what would get his attention? Tweet size length briefings. Let's all condense it into a tweet. That was back when it was 140 characters, by the way. That's sad. So sad. And look, some of the other briefings that had to be a little bit longer because not everything fits in a freaking tweet. They had to pepper his name through it so that he would remain interested in reading the briefing. This is really boring. Ooh, Trump. Ooh, that's my name. Hey, look at that. It's my name. God, he's such a fucking moron. I hate this guy. I'm especially angry today, if you didn't notice. But look, he gets easily agitated too. At his advisors, of course, there's all sorts of different stories of him yelling at different advisors and firing them on a whim, and then undercutting them, saying one thing, and then doing another completely different thing later on. He's pretty much impossible to work with. So, and again, for the life of him, he can't shut up. And that is the biggest problem in this interview. And his advisors know it. They're like, we can't get this fucking moron to shut up. Like, we can't get him to not go off on some ridiculous tangent where he incriminates himself. Because he already has. He has admitted to obstruction so many times. He can't stop himself. He is literally incapable of stopping himself. Because he is not a smart person. He is not a very stable genius, okay? I mean, it's not...
And then they say, there's Donald Trump, an intellectual. Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
No, he's not a smart person. He's a very stupid person. He's one of the dumbest people I have ever seen. Ever seen. I cannot believe he is president of the United States. How low are we? I mean, seriously, how low have we sunk? How low is the country? We are down to the bottom of the barrel. But you know what? It turns out that there is no bottom to that barrel. And so we just keep sinking lower and lower and lower. Our discourse is lower and lower and lower. I never would have thought I had to call the president of the United States a fucking moron. But he is. That's what he is. Even I wasn't this harsh on George W. Bush. George W. Bush is an idiot and a war criminal. But now, Donald Trump, he may not be a war criminal yet. Well, you know what? I take that back. Look at all the innocent people that he has bombed in Yemen. All the drone strikes that have targeted families. Innocent people that have been killed via airstrikes and drone strikes thanks to the Trump administration taking the gloves off the military. He is a war criminal. He is a war criminal, and he's a fucking moron, and he's worse than George W. Bush. Now, what did the Democrats do? Oh, the Democrats are rehabilitating George W. Bush. The Democrats are rehabilitating neoconservatives that happen to be anti-Trump. Oh, you think Jeff Flake is a good person? You think John McCain's a good person? Fuck no. Fuck no. That's how far we've fallen. And the Democrats are like, hey, it's not Trump. That's the only card that they have. And it's a shitty deck. Jeez and Lord mercy, man. This country is in a world of problems. And yet, we got a political party in the Democrats and the Republicans. They don't care. The Republicans love it. The Democrats are like, see, Trump bad. Let's go rehabilitate another warmonger. And the media cheers it on. You know why? Because they get ratings. Because they fucking love it. Michelle Wolf was right when she called out the media. She's like, you secretly love Trump. You know why? It's good for your ratings. It's good for your programs. But it's terrible for the country. Leslie Moonves of CBS News said Trump's not good for the country, but goddamn it, he's great for my ratings. That's where we're at as a country. Where we have an idiot like this who can't even answer more than 2 questions in 4 fucking hours. And he's president of the United States. And you know what? If Donald Trump attacks Iran, which is getting more and more likely by the day, you know what the media is going to say? Today's the day he became president. I guarantee that day happens. I'm gonna scream. I don't know what's gonna happen, man. It's fucked up. Okay. I'm in a hell of a mood today. All right. You know, I said I promised a fun story, and I just keep getting angrier and angrier today. So, but let's go to the next story. So Melania Trump wants you to be best. No, that's not a weird mistranslation. I didn't intentionally mess up that sentence. No, that's actually the name of her brand new White House initiative. Be best. Be Best. Okay. Aside from the ridiculous name, it actually is a pretty decent program. In fact, the focus of this initiative is to encourage positive social, emotional, and physical habits with children. Okay, hey, look, that's good. We all want that. That's great. Hey, positive social, emotional, and physical habits. Now, this has to deal a lot with online as well. In fact, according to the Be Best website, one facet of this initiative is to help children, quote, avoid negative social media interaction. They must choose their words wisely and speak with respect and compassion. So, that's hilarious. Let me tell you why. You want to talk about being people choosing their words and being respectful and compassionate online. Look at who her husband is. Look at who she's married to. And you look at his online interactions, and do you see a lot of respect? Do you see a lot of compassion? Do you see a good example? Do you see somebody that is Be Best? Look, that doesn't even make sense. Be best. But anyway, it's frustrating. But look, the idea itself, okay, sound, right? In fact, it was such a good idea that in 2014, the FTC had already come up with it. Oh, according to The Hill, there's a brochure featured on the Be Best website that was nearly identical to a brochure titled Netcetera, Chatting with Kids About Being Online, which was put out by the FTC all the way back in 2014. Internet Archives, according to The Hill, showed that the brochure was originally shared on the Be Best campaign website as a booklet by Trump and the FTC, but was later changed to show that it was simply promoted by Melania Trump and written by the FTC. So understand, on the site, Melania Trump originally took the idea, Be Best, took the brochure from 2014 and put by Melania Trump and the FTC on it. My idea. I made this. You didn't make that. You didn't build that. That was an Obama idea. Now, look, the first version read, parents, click here to read Talking with Kids About Being Online, a booklet by First Lady Melania Trump and the Federal Trade Commission. The updated website, after they got caught, reads, parents, click here to read Talking with Kids About Being Online, a Federal Trade Commission booklet promoted by First Lady Melania Trump. You see the big difference here? I wrote this. This is my idea. No, it's not. It is not your idea. You stole it. And you stole it, of course, from the black lady, Michelle Obama. Is there nothing that she will not plagiarize and steal from Michelle Obama? Hey, watch out, Michelle. Your man's next. She's coming after Barack. I wouldn't be surprised. You see that picture of them laughing and smiling together? Juxtapose that with any other picture of Melania and Donald together. Well, no, she's coming after your man, Michelle. You better watch out. Better watch out. Now, all kidding aside on that, she attempts to take credit for this until she got caught, and then immediately, got to change that. Turns out, I didn't actually come up with that idea. No, it wasn't my idea. It was the FTC. Oops. And even that aside, I find it hypocritical that she's doing an online anti-bullying campaign while not mentioning her husband, who is probably the most prominent online bully in the world. So, I mean, look, he's mocked disabled reporters. We've got the video on that. He's went after women. Megyn Kelly. I don't like Megyn Kelly. I think Megyn Kelly is terrible. But you don't tell somebody that they're bleeding out of their eyes or wherever You don't call people fat pigs and dogs and all the stuff that he called Rosie O'Donnell. All that stuff. I mean, this guy is a bully. He is a bully, and he's a terrible fucking person. So, in my opinion, if you want others to be best, you might want to start at home by setting a good example in your own life. And that is not what the Trumps are doing. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break, get something to drink. We'll be back. We got the Eric Schneiderman story. That is... Look, man, if you're not angry now, you will be. That Schneiderman story is unreal. So we'll do that. We'll take a break. We'll do that story. Stay right here. We'll come back. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Round the Nation right here, TYT Nation. Got a couple of super chats to read from Coffee Crow. He asks, speaking of taking credit for things you didn't do, President Moon says Trump gets credit for the peace talks. My question, though, is why? That is a good question. Although I think you answered that question. Do you think it's more likely that Moon is just trying to butter Trump up? Absolutely. Like, you think President Moon thinks that Trump had a big hand in these negotiations? No, absolutely not. But he knows, and the entire world knows, that Trump is a moron and that he's a man-child. So what do you do? Well, look, he's a man-child with the largest military in the fucking world. So what do? You basically said, oh, yes, you did everything great, Donald. Thank you so much for helping. We appreciate it. Everything good you did was great. Now please don't mess it up. That's what this is. They know. They know he's a fucking moron. So, yeah, and look, it's just easier to appease the baby. Sad. And so that's why. So what happens when you give, like, the man baby most of the world's nuclear fucking arsenal and the biggest military in the world. All I'm trying to do, man, all we're trying to do here is avoid annihilation at this point. So, anyway, that's all we can do. So, let's thank you for the super chat, by the way. That's a way to help the show and ask questions and do that. So, thank you, Coffee Crow, for helping out. We rely on you guys, so thank you. All right. Anyway. So, let's move on to the next story. Let's go after, let's talk about Eric Schneiderman. Okay. So, the former Attorney General of New York, Eric Schneiderman, is having his own Me Too moment. Now, I said former Attorney General of New York because yesterday, following a damning report published by the New Yorker, or I should say published in the New Yorker, ended up leading to Schneiderman's resignation. Now, this is from reporter Ronan Farrow. Now, Ronan Farrow, he helped take down Harvey Weinstein. Now, that led to the creation of the Me Too movement. And so, look, his contribution to being able to take down these people like, I mentioned Harvey Weinstein already, Charlie Rose, numerous other people, actors, and professionals. His reporting has led to that. And so now he's got a new report on Eric Schneiderman. Now, this allegation, this article is filled with allegations that Schneiderman engaged in what they called physical and emotional abuse against women he had previously dated. And there were 4 women in total. 2 of them were named, 2 of them were anonymous, but had also talked to reporters. Now, look, this is big, okay? And why this is big is because Schneiderman, well, he's a big-name Democrat, and he's also a big vocal proponent of the Me Too movement, and is most famous for, of course, taking on Donald Trump and suing Trump University. So this is, of course, hitting Democrats incredibly hard. Now, just in a statement, just hours after the report came out, Schneiderman had resigned. This happened yesterday. And released this statement. He said, "It's been my great honor and privilege to serve as Attorney General for the people of the state of New York. In the last several hours, serious allegations, which I strongly contest, have been made against me. While these allegations are unrelated to my professional conduct, or the operations of the office, they will effectively prevent me from leading the office's work at this critical time. I therefore resign my office effective at the close of business on May 8th, 2018. So he's out, immediately gone, a day after these allegations. Now, State Solicitor Barbara Underwood will serve as the state's acting Attorney General until the permanent replacement is selected. So, and she says, look, there's a lot of work to do. The work that Eric Schneiderman was doing will continue. So that should make everybody feel a little bit better, because there's some very important cases that Schneiderman was working on before these allegations came up. Now, shortly after announcing his resignation, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office also said that they decided that they would open an investigation into these allegations against Schneiderman. Now, we'll find out the truth in this investigation, and so we'll see whether or not these allegations are true. Now, just like what happened with Al Franken, for example, a lot of prominent Democrats decided to come out. For example, you have New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now, Cuomo said, quote, "No one is above the law, including New York's top legal officer. I will be asking an appropriate New York district attorney to commence an immediate investigation and proceed as the facts merit." He also adds, "My personal opinion is that given the damning pattern of facts and corroboration laid out in the article, I do not believe it is possible for Eric Schneiderman to continue to serve as Attorney General, and for the good of the office should resign. And of course, he did. So, look, I read through the article. I strongly urge everyone to read the entirety of the article before making a judgment. That's what I did. That's why I have the opinion that I have. And you should read through, and you should, again, get all the facts from the article and listen to the investigation as it goes forward, so that you can make a judgment. But look, from what I've read, I think these allegations are believable. In fact, let me give you some details here. Now, 2 of the 4 women, Michelle Manning Barish and Tanya Selvaratnam, spoke on the record to the magazine, which in itself is incredible, because why would you reveal yourself and allow yourself to get dragged through the mud, as they will eventually will? And look, you just go on Twitter, a lot of Democrats are like, oh my God, this is a Russian, yeah, they're actually doing that. This is a Russian way to take down enemies of Donald Trump. This is part of the Trump plan. I don't know about that. Now, as I said, they spoke on the record to New York Magazine, and they talked about how they had been romantically involved with Schneiderman. Now, these women, again, a lot of Democrats are going to go after their character. Oh, they're Trump plants, or maybe they're paid off by Donald Trump, or Republicans. Well, these women are progressives, very prominent activists. So I highly doubt that. Now, in one excerpt, Schneiderman had allegedly mocked Manning Barish for engaging in her political activism, which is, of course, left-wing. Here, let me read that for you. When she told him of her plan to attend an anti-gun demonstration with various political figures and a group of parents from Sandy Hook Elementary, he had reportedly dismissed the effort, calling the demonstrators losers. He added, "Go ahead if it makes you feel better to do your little political things." So, damn. So she's saying, I wanted to go to political events and protest against gun violence, and Schneiderman says, nope. I mean, go ahead and do your little political thing, but go ahead and join the rest of the losers. That's damning. If that is true, man, is that terrible. And of course paints him in a completely different light than what we see, or what he allowed us to see. Now, other serious allegations include violence, such as slapping and choking. So, and in New York, that is, of course, assault. Slapping somebody and causing harm is assault. And Schneiderman himself wrote some laws against choking. So, look, you've got a huge difference in public persona and private persona if this is proven to be true. Okay? Now, she also says, okay, that when they had sex, he often slapped her across the face without her consent, and said that she felt emotionally battered by cruel remarks that he made. So, in the article, it goes into detail about how he would criticize the way that she dresses, made her remove a tattoo, would constantly call her fat, and make other disparaging remarks about basically her looks. And so, man, now the other woman, Tanya Selvaratnam, described her abuse and when it actually started. Now, she said, "The slap started after we gotten to know each other. It was at first as if he was testing me. Then it got stronger and harder. It wasn't consensual. This wasn't sexual play acting. This was abusive, demeaning behavior." So, demeaning and threatening behavior. Now, again, one of his defenses is, I was just role-playing. We role-play. I'm into that stuff. And, yeah, we get a little feisty, and I'm into a little bit of S&M or whatever. But I'd never crossed that line. I never actually hurt somebody. I never actually do the things that they said I was gonna that they said that I did. Well, okay, but that's what the investigation, I guess, is going to be all about. Now, what's even more, I guess, gross about this is sometimes she said he'd tell me to call him master and slap me until I did. That is more than I wanted to know. Selvaratnam, who was born in Sri Lanka, has dark skin, and she recalls that he started calling me his brown slave and demanding that I repeat that I was his property. Ooh, that's sick. Now, look, I can understand why many people don't believe it, because, again, it's such at odds of what we've seen him being presented as. But, look, the allegations do say that this behavior happened when he was drinking, and that he allegedly had a gigantic drinking problem. So, when he's sober, oh, super nice, right? Or, I'm sorry, when he's sober, super nice. When he's drinking, well, that's when the monster comes out. And look, I've known alcoholics personally. And yes, take it, it's an anecdote, take it as you will. I've known people like this. Perfectly pleasant people. Get a few drinks in them, though. Well, then they start to reveal who they really are. Now, Manny Barish, going back to her account, recalls this drinking. She claimed that he would almost always drink 2 bottles of wine in a night, then bring a bottle of scotch into the bedroom. He would get absolutely plastered 5 nights out of 7. On one occasion, she recalls, he literally fell on his face in my kitchen, straight down like a tree falling. Another evening, he smashed his legs against an open drawer, cutting it so badly that there was blood all over the place. She then bandaged it, but the next day went to his office to change the dressing because the bleeding hadn't stopped. So, look, that's another thing that happens with alcoholics. They get hurt, they fall over, they end up needing medical attention fairly often. Again, that is something that happens. Now, like Manning Barish, Selvaratnam says that Schneiderman routinely drank heavily. She said 1.5 bottles of wine or more, and also allegedly took sedatives. And so there was a part where they talked about her ordering extra Xanax and him taking half of it. Now, a spokesman says that is completely untrue. He doesn't do any of that stuff. So, that's false, fake news. Again, we'll find out when there's an investigation. Now, one of the things that she also claimed, and actually both of them claim, is that there was a lot of pressure for them to drink with him. And that brings me back to personally knowing alcoholics. Misery loves company. Oh, why don't you have a shot? Why don't you come drink with me? Let's have some fun. Let's go to the bar. So that seems like alcoholic behavior. Now, she also claimed that his emotional state seemed to worsen after the 2016 presidential election. He had counted on forging an ambitious partnership with a White House led by none other than Hillary Clinton. Now, why do I mention that? Well, again, for a lot of people who were banking on getting a spot or getting special privileges or special ties with a Democratic White House under Hillary Clinton, 2016 was a devastating blow. So, and apparently he took it pretty hard, and his behavior started getting worse. In fact, on the morning of January 19th, 2017, the day before Trump's inauguration, Schneiderman called Selvaratnam from a hospital emergency room. She recalls, he told me that he'd been drinking the night before he fell down. He didn't realize he cut himself. He got into bed, and when he woke up, he was in a pool of blood. Selvaratnam then rushed to the hospital. Schneiderman had several stitches above his left eye. His face was puffy and bruised. He had her send his press secretary a photograph of the injury, and they agreed to cancel a public appearance. Now, that image was shown with the New Yorker. Now, in it, Schneiderman has a black eye and a bandage across the left side of his forehead. So, I'm assuming that's going to be entered into some evidence. Now, two more women have also accused Schneiderman, including one who is characterized by the New Yorker as an attorney who has held a prominent position in the New York legal community. Now, she asked to remain anonymous. Now, she told her story about meeting Schneiderman at some function, and he was coming on to her, and basically she said, no, I'm rejecting you. When that happened, and the reason, of course, she rejected him is because he started saying some really crazy things after having a few drinks. Allegedly, of course. Now, when that happened, he allegedly slapped her so forcefully, a mark was still visible the following day. And, of course, there were also allegedly pictures of that. Now, Schneiderman says, oh, that's not true. In fact, he said, non-consensual sex is a line that I would not cross. Well, nobody said anything about non-consensual sex. What they did talk about is violence during sex, slapping and choking and things like that. But he says, quote, in the privacy of intimate relationships, I have engaged in role-playing and other consensual sexual activity. Look, if you're both into that and it's consensual, then that's fine. But when it's not consensual, when the violence isn't consensual during sex, well, then that's bad. I don't know why I should have to explain this, but it's bad. It's just bad. So now he also continues. I said, I have not assaulted anyone. I have never engaged in non-consensual sex, which is a line I would not cross. So again, it's not just the sex. Like, the sex was originally consensual, but then you brought the violence into it, which is not consensual. So I think there's a conversation that needs to be had about that. Because consent is obviously the most important thing that you can do in a relationship. Now, Jennifer Cunningham, Schneiderman's ex-wife, and by the way, she is also his political consultant, released a statement saying that the allegations are completely inconsistent with the man that I know. Quote, I've known Eric for nearly 35 years as a husband, father, and friend. These allegations are completely inconsistent with the man that I know, who has always been someone of the highest character, outstanding values, and a loving father. I find it impossible to believe that these allegations are true. Well, again, she is his political consultant. And she was one of the ones that when he allegedly got those cuts around his left eye, went to the hospital, she got together and was the other woman and said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to show this to the press. We're not going to tell anybody what actually happened, that he got drunk. We're going to say that he injured himself running. And they went along with it. Again, read the article. It's right in there. And look, the fact that she is a political consultant says a lot. So this is something that you would expect from somebody's political consultant. But anyway, now the New York Police Department, and this might be a little bit more relevant and might actually turn out well on his side, said in a statement that it received no complaints against Schneiderman. But if it receives any, it will investigate them. So, now look, a lot of people point that out, and it's like, well, why didn't she report it? Well, when it comes to physical abuse, which apparently, allegedly happened, and again, we'll find that out, there were also alleged threats against their lives. So when that kind of stuff happens, when there's physical and emotional abuse, it makes it really difficult for them to go to the police. So, and for anybody who hasn't been in that situation, it's tough to go and say that, oh no, I would immediately report it, right? And some do, and that's great. But not everybody has that kind of courage, because you never know what's going to happen with somebody who is so seemingly unstable. Now, let's go further here. Again, as far as the investigation, there needs to be an investigation. And my gut feeling here is that this guy has a drinking problem, a major drinking problem. Functional alcoholism is pretty much what I call it. And I've been around people who have exhibited this kind of behavior. So, again, anecdotes, take it as you will. Not always, I guess it's not always true in every situation, but that's just what I've experienced, and I've known people like this before. Now, and if all this is true, then this guy needs serious help. He needs serious help. And I hope he gets it. Now, one more allegation here that seems consistent with what I've seen in my personal life is threats and intimidation. And again, that's one of the possible reasons that these didn't get reported to the police. He allegedly threatened to use his position as the Attorney General against women if they spoke out. So, obviously, that's a major threat. He told Selvaratnam that he had said he would have to kill me if we broke up on multiple occasions. He also told me he could have followed me or could have me followed and would tap my phone. So, and in one situation where they were crossing the street, he basically yanked her across the street, and she's like, "Wait, jaywalking is illegal. You can't do that. You can't jaywalk. That's the law." He allegedly said, "Don't worry about that. I'm the law. I am the law." No way. No way. So look, these are incredibly serious allegations. Again, I hope the investigation into him finds out the truth. And if I'm wrong, if they're wrong, then I expect that to be big news. And look, I would expect him to get his job back. However, if not, then he needs to get help. Major help. Because this kind of situation, this kind of person being in such a high office and being somebody who's so vocal for women's rights and to be secretly this completely other person, can't have it. We just can't have it. Okay. Jesus, man. All right, I got a couple more stories here. All right. Okay. Sam Nunberg was a former campaign aide for Donald Trump, and he's had some very interesting media appearances in the past, some including having a couple of drinks before going on air. I don't recommend that. Now, on Monday, he decided to go back on TV to talk about Michael Cohen, this time without having a few drinks. Cohen, of course, Cohen's Trump's lawyer. He's also in trouble for making a payment of $130,000 to a porn star. And while he was on MSNBC, this show, specifically The Beat with Ari Melber, he was face-to-face with Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti. Now, Avenatti decided he was going to ask a very important question about corruption. He asked Nunberg if Cohen had ever sold access to President Trump. In fact, let's take a look at that.
Obviously, Michael was not asked to join the administration, did not go to Washington. I mean, did he undertake any business dealings along the lines of like selling access to the president, or did you get the impression that he was trying to put himself out there as a guy that could put people in touch with the president?
No, I had limited contact with Michael because it wasn't going to be, my position was I was a pro-Steve Bannon guy. Michael is a Jared Kushner guy.
Got it.
So it was, even though I like Michael a lot, Michael is a very good snake when it comes to stuff like that. So he would sit there across from me, pretend to be my best friend, and just report back to them. With that said, I ran into him.
What do you mean by snake?
Oh, I mean as a compliment. I mean, for instance, he'll sit there and then he'll just report everything I tell him back to Jared Kushner, let's say.
So you didn't trust him?
I didn't per se. When I was a Bannon guy, sure, I didn't trust him.
He's a good snake. I mean, he's a snake, but he's a good one. That's a compliment. What? I don't think that's a compliment. But then again, look, kind of shows you how they regard each other in the Trump administration, all the backstabbing, all the manipulation. Yeah, he may be a snake, but he's a good snake. He's one of the good ones, right? all he'd do is that, I would go and I would talk, and he would report everything that I said to Jared Kushner. Because I was a Bannon guy, he was a Kushner guy. Isn't it amazing? Just the level of, I don't know, dysfunction, maybe. Just how people relate to each other in politics, and especially in the Trump administration. I mean, yeah, he's a snake. But don't worry, he's a good snake. I mean that in the best possible way. Wow. Just wow. Now, would a snake possibly sell access to the president? It is possible. Again, you're a snake, right? So what's important about that is what wasn't said, right? So yes, he said he's a snake, right? But he didn't actually really answer the question. He said, I don't know. I wasn't all that close to Cohen. Basically kind of saying, well, yeah, he might have, but I don't know. I'm not involved in this at all. All I know is that Michael Cohen is a snake. Interesting. Now, look, is this an attempt to get Cohen to flip? I think it is. I think it is. I think this is probably a setup. Because think about it. That question, that is hard-hitting. That is corruption, right? That could be a question that Mueller could ask Cohen. So now, if Mueller's watching, then here we go. We've got an interesting question. We're going to ask Cohen now, did you sell access to the president? Which, again, could be used against him to go and try to flip him against Donald Trump. So that's what's happening. I think that's what this is all about. And it's a bold question to ask. So I got to give Avenatti props in that, because this guy's got like big balls, all right, to ask that question on TV. So, but look, Nunberg, as far as Nunberg is concerned, look, I do think that he cares a little bit about what happens to Donald Trump. But that said, I assume he'd be okay with seeing both Cohen and Kushner go down. Because, as I said before, he doesn't like those people, doesn't really trust them. I mean, he kind of likes Cohen as a person, but he's a snake. He's a snake. He's a good snake, though. Okay, then. I have a feeling that he would not have any problems watching Cohen go to prison or flip on Trump and then seeing Kushner go down as well. Because that's just the type of White House that Trump was operating. And that's the kind of dirty things that we would expect. Okay. You know what? That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. So, it's been an interesting day today for sure. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get out of here for the day. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for supporting the show. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, we do Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation. That helps the show out as well. Keeps us literally on the air. So thank you, as do the super chats. So thank you again for those, everybody who's done so. Please give us a like. Please share and share the clips. We'll have them up later today. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, TYT Nation. See you all tomorrow.